So in the next stage, which is stage 2, the examiner will refer to the information sheet that the test taker will also have in front of him, in front of her. Specifically, the examiner will describe the procedure. The test taker will ask questions that appear on the information sheet. The examiner will answer these questions, and it is very, very important that the test taker listen to the answers of these questions so that the test taker can use this information in stage 3, in the next stage. So here, the focus should be on listening to the information that the examiner will be giving the test taker. Now, some questions that come up in this stage are, is paraphrasing necessary? In other words, does the test taker need to paraphrase the questions? No, this is not necessary. The test taker does not need to paraphrase the questions. However, if the test taker decides to paraphrase, then the test taker should make sure that this is done correctly. Another frequently asked question is, can the test taker ask additional questions? Yes, of course, the test taker can ask additional questions. However, I stress the importance of the test taker listening closely to the information that is given to him or her when asking the questions that appear on the information sheet. So, the test taker does not need to ask additional questions. He or she can if he wants to or she wants to, but this is not necessary. I stress once again that the important thing in this stage is to listen to the information that is given to the test taker by the examiner. So let us have a look at an indicative ECCE speaking prompt. So once the examiner has asked the transition question at the end of stage 1, at the end of the introduction, the examiner will continue by reading the information sheet. I am the mayor of your town and I have a problem. Find out what my problem is and offer me some good advice. First, you should look at the pictures and ask. The examiner will not read the questions, but these are the questions that the test taker needs to ask the examiner in the order that the test taker sees the questions. As I said earlier, the test taker needs to ask at least these questions and does not need to paraphrase. As I said, it is important that the test taker listen carefully and tries to remember as much information as possible that the examiner will give him when answering these questions. The examiner, of course, will read also the rest of the information on the information sheet. Then when you have all the information you need, explain which option you think is best and why. Be ready to explain why you didn't choose the other option. Remember to use information you learn from asking questions to explain your final choice. And finally, after you have shared your decision, you will be asked more questions about the topic. So, the examiner has read the information sheet, has not read the questions, and of course, if the test taker has no questions, then the test taker should begin asking the questions. In the next slide, you will see the information that the examiner has. The test taker does not have this information. However, the examiner will use this information to answer the questions. So, what is the problem? This is asked, of course, by the test taker, and the examiner would answer, our town's 100th anniversary is this year, and we want to do something special to celebrate. We have two possible options and can't decide which to choose. Then the test taker would continue by asking, what are the options? And the examiner would point to the pictures. Well, option 1, which is the fountain. We could build a fountain in the town center to remember the anniversary. And option 2, which are the fireworks. We could plan a weekend festival with music and fireworks to celebrate the event. Then the test taker would continue by asking the next question. What are the disadvantages of each option? Well, for the first option, it will take time to plan and build the fountain, and it will not be finished until next year. And the examiner would also answer the question for the second option. After the festival is over, there will be no permanent reminder of the event. As I have already stressed, it is very important that the test taker listens carefully to the information that is given. And I would like to remind you that it is not necessary for the test taker to ask more questions.